It's late at night and you find yourself staring at an unfinished task. You know you should be working on it, but instead you pick up your phone, scroll through social media, or maybe even start organizing your desk. You convince yourself that you'll get started soon, just after one more video or one last snack. But before you know it, hours have passed and the deadline is looming closer than ever. Sound familiar? Welcome to the vicious cycle of procrastination. But why do we keep procrastinating even when we know it's harmful? And more importantly, how can we break free from it? The answer isn't just about willpower or better time management. It's rooted in psychology, neuroscience, and emotions. At its core, procrastination isn't about laziness. It's about avoiding discomfort. When we see a task as difficult, stressful, or overwhelming, our brain perceives it as a threat. This triggers the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for processing emotions, especially fear and anxiety. When this happens, your body's natural response is to seek immediate relief, so you turn to distractions that provide instant gratification, whether it's watching YouTube, scrolling on your phone, or doing anything except the actual task at hand. Psychologists call this short-term mood repair. Essentially, your brain prioritizes feeling good right now rather than dealing with long-term consequences. The problem? Every time we procrastinate, we reinforce this habit. Our brain learns that avoiding work provides temporary relief, making it even harder to start the next time. Now, the question is, how to break the cycle of procrastination? If procrastination is driven by emotions and habit, then overcoming it isn't just about pushing yourself harder. You need to address the underlying causes. Here are some science-backed strategies to help. Reduce the threat response. Since procrastination is triggered by fear and stress, one of the best ways to fight it is by reframing the task. Instead of seeing it as a huge, overwhelming challenge, break it down into smaller, more manageable steps. The key is to focus on progress, not perfection. Tell yourself, I just need to write the first sentence, or I'll work on this for just 5 minutes. This technique, known as the Zeigarnik effect, plays on the idea that our brain hates unfinished tasks. Once you start, your brain naturally wants to keep going. Use the do something harder. A surprising way to beat procrastination comes from research on dopamine and motivation. Instead of waiting for motivation to strike, put yourself in a situation that's even more uncomfortable than the task itself. For example, take a cold shower, do an intense workout, or challenge yourself with a difficult puzzle. When you engage in something that demands effort, your brain snaps out of its passive avoidance mode and becomes more willing to tackle difficult tasks. Eliminate distractions before they hijack your focus. We often procrastinate because distractions are so easily available. If your phone is within arm's reach, your brain will constantly crave the instant dopamine hit of checking messages, social media, or watching videos. The solution? Make procrastination harder than working. Try setting up an environment where distractions are removed before you start working. Use apps that block social media, put your phone in another room, or use techniques like the Pomodoro method, working in short focused bursts followed by short breaks. Lower the emotional resistance. Self-compassion is a powerful tool against procrastination. Studies show that people who forgive themselves for past procrastination are less likely to repeat the behavior. Instead of beating yourself up for delaying a task, acknowledge your struggle and commit to making a small effort now. Additionally, journaling about why you're avoiding a task can help reduce its emotional weight. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of? What's the worst that could happen? More often than not, you'll realize that the fear is exaggerated. Create artificial deadlines and accountability. One reason people procrastinate is that deadlines feel too distant. Creating artificial deadlines, such as telling a friend you'll send them your work by a specific time, can create a sense of urgency. Public accountability makes it harder to back out. Similarly, using temptation bundling can help. Pair a task you don't want to do with something enjoyable. For example, only allow yourself to listen to your favorite podcast while doing an unpleasant task, like cleaning or exercising. The brutal truth about procrastination is that it's not just about poor time management, it's about how our brain deals with stress, discomfort, and fear. But the good news? Just as procrastination is a habit, overcoming it is also a habit you can build. By addressing the emotional triggers, breaking tasks into manageable steps, and using strategic hacks like the do something harder method, you can retrain your brain to take action instead of avoiding it. The key is not to wait for motivation, but to take small, intentional steps, because action creates momentum, and momentum fuels motivation. So, the next time you find yourself stuck in the cycle of procrastination, remember, getting started is the hardest part. But once you do, you'll often realize that it wasn't as difficult as your mind made it seem.